G'day, it's Chris Skian, and my topic on this little video today, part of it at least, is the secret of living is giving. And I wrote on there in the headline, if you didn't see it, by Chris Skian and others. So if this is the first video I've ever seen of me, if you've seen a few more, well, thanks for watching again. If this is the first one, then you're thinking, who the bloody hell's he? So look, I'm just a businessman or a couple of businesses, day job, night job, so to speak, and I'm very passionate about helping people. I'm passionate about teaching other people and using the information. So why I said by Ski and others is because the others is all the people. It's not information from me, it's just books I've read and people I've listened to and information I've found out about, and I'm just the conduit. So I'm putting it all together and putting it in my words, I suppose. So it's not really information according to me, it's information according to all these people that I've brought together. Now, the secret to living is giving. So what am I talking about there? Well, I've learned from studying, reading, that we can't just obviously keep taking. And if you think about, say, a good friend of yours, then normally they're always someone who gives of their time, lends you stuff, gives you stuff, buys you that beer, whatever. They're generous, and they're great friends and they're great mates. And you certainly would know that if you've got someone who is always a taker, then they kind of not your friend for too much longer, are they? So there's a little bit of a friend perspective on it, but that goes for everything we do in life, doesn't it? If you're a greenie, then obviously we can't keep taking from from nature, all those sorts of things. So, but in a holistic point of view, every avenue of your life, if you're a giver, then you have to be able to learn to give first, and the law of balancing things out. I can't remember what that law is called, but things balance themselves out and you will receive. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm giving you some information, and over the next 3 weeks, so excuse me, this week plus 3 more weeks, I'm going to be giving my 4 tips for success. So the spirit of the secret to living is giving. I'm going to give you the 4 tips that I've got from people. They're not really my 4 tips, they're 4 tips that I've learned from people about success. Now, what is success? Let me explain something to you for a minute. If you're watching this video, then thanks, and you've got to this point, awesome. 95% of people are either an employee or they're self-employed. Now, an employee is pretty obvious, you work for someone. Self-employed is you have thought you could do it better, so you started your own business, or you might be a tradie and you thought you're just out there on your own, or whatever industry you're in, you might be contracting. Even if you've started your own business and you've got half a dozen guys working for you, a self-employed person still trades time for money. So they go to work and they spend however many hours at work, and they get paid. Hopefully, if it's a company or a trust, you get paid dividends, or you get some money back for your time sitting at work if you own a business. So that's still self-employed. You're not really a business owner unless you're out of it altogether. You own a McDonald's in Melbourne, you live in Queensland, and you have nothing to do other than taking in some dividends every year. So that's a business owner. Now, 95% of the population, listen to me, are either employed or self-employed, and they share in 5% of the wealth. I know, it hits you hard, doesn't it? So the other 5% of the population obviously have 95%, but they have all the money, and the stats are again that whatever it is, 80-90% of the people in that 95% either end up broke. When I say broke, on a pension, so they're not desolate out on the street, but they don't have much money, or they're dead by the time you're 70. And that might be getting to 75 now because we're all living longer. But that really hits hard. Do I want to be that situation when I'm supposedly going to retire? You hear stories all the time. People retire at 65 and live 2 more years. Man, you've worked all your life. So how do you get to the other side of the fence? If you're young and you're a little bit entrepreneurial, then here's some tips for you. Stuff I've studied. And over the next 3 weeks, as I said, I'll give you 3 more tips. I obviously clearly like number 4, so I've condensed into 4 tips. The first one that I'm going to give you is you need to have some goals, and you're probably going, oh no, not the goals thing again. But not just goals, you need to have clarity. You have to be focused on exactly what it is you want. And if you're really young, 18, 19, 20 to 25, sometimes you don't really know what you want. You're still experiencing life, and yes, you want all the glitz and glamour, and you want shitloads of money, and you want to, live the life of a movie star. But you haven't got kids at that stage. You don't really know how that's going to affect your life, and there's so many things that that you kind of don't know yet when you're really young. But a lot of times you know what you don't want. And if you're, as I say, if you are young, then get clarity on what you don't want. If you don't want to work the 50-year plan, you don't want to work until you're 65, 70, then a normal job, then get clarity on that. Have a think about it and get a bit of paper out and write it down. Okay, it has to be on a bit of paper. Write it down what you do or don't want. Preferably try and get something positive and go, I want a lifestyle, I want this, I want a house, I want to live in somewhere nice. The whole Tesla Lotto thing. What if time and money was no problem? There's lots of people, doctors, lawyers who have, highfalutin white-collar workers who have lots of money and can earn hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but they've got no time. I'm only talking to a few doctors recently, and they're earning $200,000 or $300,000 a year, and they're just essentially script writers. That's what they call themselves. They just shake their heads and say, I'm just a script writer. That's all I pretty much do. Come in, diagnose the next one, write a script, next one, write a script. So that doesn't mean that they're clearly not happy, all right? So time and money. Have a think about it. I would encourage you to really work on getting the clarity and going, this is really what I want. And that might change, but right now, what do you want right now? Get some clarity, and next week, in the step 2 or the success principle number 2, I'll encourage you and show you and help you how to take action. How do we go from the 95% of the people who end up dead or broke by the time they're 70 to the 5% who've got all the money, and most importantly, you don't have to wait until you're 65 or 70 to get to that 5%. If you're I'm only 45. If you're my age, well, then you want to do it in a few years, don't you? You don't want to wait until you're 60. If you're young, then you don't have to. There's so much technology out there. There's so many better ways to get the lifestyle you want. So that's it. Spirit of living is giving, and I've just given you the first tip. Get clarity on your goals. It is the number one thing that every motivational person, every sportsman, businessman, everything will tell you. So, funnily enough, everyone in that 5% does it. Want to get over that side of the fence? Have a crack. Just get a bit of paper and write it down. Have a great week. Talk to you. See ya.